The recording's in progress, so we go back here like this. Uh, what a palaver.
I'm sorry, it just wouldn't work.
No, no, it's not your fault. Not your fault. Right, let's see what it's doing now. There we, yes, that's it. We're both on there. And so we click on there like that. Comments will appear here. Yep. Elsa, 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 how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Happy
Good.
birthday.
Thanks very much. Yeah, 71 going on 17. I'm doing that reverse thing,
Mm.
like Benjamin Button going backwards. How's things? All right?
Yeah, I think everything has been going backwards. Like, if I had to describe this week, it was like a flip or a switch. Or
Been very powerful, haven't they? The last God knows how long. Every day it seems to get more powerful, really. And maybe we can chat about what we feel is going on and stuff. But hello, I'll just say hello, Dee. Nice to see you back again and everybody else. Yeah, it's been very powerful. Um, I found it very challenging, if I'm going to be honest. But we've got the tools and we know what to do, don't we? When we get kicked off our feet and we know how to put our feet back on the ground again by
mm.
opening our heart, really, and getting centered and grounded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I this week in particular has been so challenging to be me, and I kept saying to everyone, no matter what anyone says or makes you feel, just keep going back to you. Boy, what a week! Like, um, we ended up having to go to Sydney. We had it was all to do with horses this week. Everything was to do with horses. We had to rescue little Pudding on Monday night. He'd been stuck in a water hole. He didn't make it, little one, unfortunately. And then we had to ship two horses to new homes, new owners, which was lovely but tiring. And yeah, it's just weird that all this week was horses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll see a black horse running on the beach. Yeah, this is the new one. So I feel like I just got Alexander the Great's new horse. I just I don't understand it. It sounds silly, um, but I feel like history isn't history, but it's repeating itself. And I don't think history was history. I think they were remote viewing and writing it down what they thought this was now. Because I keep going, oh, is this a repeat? And they're going, oh, it's been never been done before. And I go, well, but how is that possible if it was written? And it was because of similar people like us who could see, have visions and see things and be open enough minded to write it down or share it with others without being the loony. And they had foresight, which is horses, four sights. One, two, three, four. It's to see what was before, which was so called history, and have foresight, which is these meanings, Dr. Joe, mean prayer. So it's so important how we behave.
I,
Sounds
I,
really deep. It sounds really sad. I'm not sad.
no.
We loved little Pudding. Death is very hard, but the other thing that I've really had happen with this Mercury retrograde is let them fail. But fail isn't how we understand the word fail. It's to fall. So let them fall. So it's basically letting the comet dust fall on us to rain us. But it's it also means things have to fail because the news coming in. So lots of mucus, far out. I'm over Falcon. Just
Yeah, yeah.
over Falcon.
I'd forgotten about Felgham. But no, no, because I can feel it. I can feel it. And
You
I
know,
feel,
yeah.
we sort of know,
Oh,
but we don't know at the same time. But we do know all the time, really. And I've had like the last month, I have been battered, battered. And I got told about 6 weeks ago, keep your eye on the Tigris and the Euphrates. Okay, keep your eye on that area. And also, I keep getting Nineveh, Nineveh. And I thought, well, I've heard of Nineveh from my primary school days because there was a poem by John Masefield. And Elsa, you know the score. They just come in. You don't have to rack your brains for them. The stuff that happens to people like us is we get like projectile projectile sort of messages. They just go boof. And I think, okay, ooh, oh, right, okay, what are you trying to show me? And I get like, keep your eye on the Tigris and the Euphrates and understand, Joe, that what's happening physically, right, is being sort of guided from the invisible dimensions for a much bigger purpose. And then I have to take that information, I go onto Google, I go to the Tigris and the Euphrates, right? Because I can't remember everything in my head. That's what Google's there for. And I got, well, the Tigris and the Euphrates, Nineveh is at the confluence of the Tigris and the Euphrates River. It's at the delta, and it's to do with Iran and Iraq. You see, I thought, oh, here we go, right? And this was before all this stuff kicked off, right? And I go, well, what's the significance of Nineveh? I go, well, go and have a look, Joe, about Nineveh. And I get, well, Nineveh was an ancient city in Mesopotamia, right? Because I get that a lot, that Mesopotamia. That's why I've got that thing behind me at the moment, right? So, which they've got 15 portals or 15 gates around the city, the ancient city of Nineveh, right? And within that whole complex and in that area is the 10th Stargate. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I've heard other people talking about this 10th Stargate. Right, I'm okay with Stargates because I understand that it's all part of the planet Earth's meridian system and stuff like that. And I get, well, what's the significance of the 10th Stargate? And I get, well, there's people trying to open it up and there's people trying to close it down, Joe. And that's partly what's going on, you see, Joe, over there. Right. And it's interesting for me because it's like watching a film. My life's watching a film. And I understand about, is this to do with past life stuff or is it to do with stuff that's going on now that's being remote viewed and information's being sent to us from different dimensions? And I think, I don't care. I don't care what it is. You know, and part of me is not bothered, right? Just what are you showing me for, right? And what do I have to do about it? Because, Elsa, I live on a very sort of strict way of life. And I get the day, I get me head out of the way, I sink deep in me heart of hearts, which I consider to be my soul, and you consider to be the resting place of the spleen. And I go deep into my heart of hearts, to the core of my being, where my information comes from. Now, I can't explain it other than that, right? But when I sit in that place, it's like a peaceful place. And I get the thing in my head. It used to be on the BBC years and years ago, Page the Oracle. And it's almost like the Oracle sends me information. And the important thing is, I've got to act upon the information received. Because if I try and work it out and I get involved with it, could be this and it could be that, it takes me out of the now moment, as they call it, right? And then once again, I'm flipping between the past and the future. So I'm of no good for anybody or anything really. So my whole life now is about almost like acting upon this information that I'm receiving from deep within myself, right? And then acting upon it without knowing where it's going, having trust and faith that I'm being guided from some sort of forces or angelic beings or ETs, or I don't care who they are, right? Right, I'm not bothered. But I keep getting this information, and over the last 6 weeks, it's been rather intense to say the least. And I have this relationship with these so-called invisible beings and intelligences of, hang on a second, you can't do this without me. So give us a break, take a step back, right, and feed me this information a bit more slowly, please, so I can actually do this in a more efficient way. I don't know what I've said there, but that's where I'm up to. And the other thing is, of course, I'm filled with emotion all the time, but it's natural emotion. When I see animals suffering, right, it gets me more than I see people suffering. I've got to be honest about it. I see animals suffer and immediately I'm like blubbering mess, right? And I think, hang on a second, and then I have to open my heart more and just carry on, really. And sometimes it can be that sort of, it's almost like people see me as very passive and not caring, and they don't know who I am. They can't feel where I'm coming from. But I know. By all means, tell me what you think, but don't tell me what to feel, because I live my life by feelings first. Can I send you a vaccination over or anything like that to help you? Sorry. Oh, couldn't help that. Couldn't help that. Right. There's my bit for now. That's what I'm up to.
So Iron Tigress Euphrates Nirvana is to see love or lead with love, and gas is the plat of our DNA from star seed that lands on us, and it freights in on us like a like a courier, and if you can allow it and lead with, you have the leaders with it, it becomes nirvana.
Right. That's
You know, this
interesting. Yeah.
the word's very important, nirvana, to us, because it's the name of this area and the yeah, yeah. It's nirvana is heaven's gates, so it is a stargate. And the reason that it's a stargate is because it's a confluence. And the confluence is exactly what you said. It's the emotions, and you said you open the floodgates within. So when you open these floodgates through great emotion, um, you become a delta too. So over
You
the
too.
last,
To you
yep.
too.
So becoming delta confluence means the two become one. So it's one, one, and then you become this. So it's Christ energy. So it looks like this, and then it goes up. And it's funny because yesterday we went over one of the only rivers that has two deltas, and I said a little prayer as we went over them, and it's just weird. It's weird. It's weird because you're talking about two deltas. It's two deltas in you awakening. So you have to be this version and this version of you, and then assimilate them or something. Like you have to merge them, and that becomes a stargate.
Funny you should say that because I've just had Delta Force and integration, and that's what's happening really. And it's
Mm.
basically to get your head out of the way and just let the process overtake you because it's all for positive purpose, really. And I'm having loads of, this light language things come through me in the most inopportune moments now. And sometimes when I'm playing music and stuff like that, it's out. Je hebt toch gejas hier een jongen tegen hem zet je kan hem hasabat nachat and borosap technique. Now, when it started to happen to me, I thought I'm on my way back to the psychiatric department. There's something wrong with me, but I know now. I don't care, Elsa. It comes out, right? I ask them not to do it when I'm giving a lecture, right, at university. Because I can feel, it's like I've got like a whole load of jokers in a line here wanting to pop in all the time. You know what I mean? And I can feel, and I think, don't be at it, don't be at it. You know what I mean? So this is going on my head, and as part of my journey of discovery, I was diagnosed as a schizophrenic, multiple personality disorder. And I'm beginning to see now that when you get in alignment, it becomes multiple personality reordering and intelligence. This is part of like a multiple intelligence thing. And I've shared with you before, they keep showing to me, Joe, the human being has got 12 potentials. Within the human being's network, right, there's 12 frequencies. Each of those frequencies represents a stream of consciousness. And each of those streams of consciousness is a skill and an attribute and something, when used correctly, will benefit mankind. And I think, oh, don't be giving me all that here to save the world crap. You know what I mean? Right? What does it mean to me? And it just means, Joe, let go. We'll help you to clean the passages and the channels so that you'll have a bit more understanding of what this human life's all about. And this is where I've come to is I signed a contract before I was born, right? I got popped into a place called Seacombe, right, on the Wirral, right? I was born to a woman called Josie who was married to Jim, right? And I chose that location, that situation, and all the lessons to be learnt in that. And I think what happens is in the first part of your life, you're just left with your ego and the DNA sort of inherited traits that you come with. And you try and work your life through those. And then it's bound to fall apart at some point. Right. So the first half of your life is like ego driven. When you listen to all the nonsense that the world tells you, do this, you'll be successful. Try and make as much money as possible. Get a name for yourself. Buy a big house. Da di da di da di da di da di da di da. And it blocks you off from who you really are. And that's why it all goes wrong, because you're miles away from the purpose that you were born. Although, Joe, you signed the form. So don't be blaming anybody else. You actually chose this exactly how it's played out so far. So we're going to show you now how to get, how to what's the word I'm looking for? Repent. How to repent, right? And we'll show you, if you pay attention to us, we'll show you what steps to take and how your life can be improved and how you can go and help other people. And Elsa, that's exactly what's happened. If I try and work out what's coming up next, I'm back in my ego head again and it all falls apart very, very quickly. So I'm very, very happy with who I am now, although most of the people around me aren't happy. And I don't care, because they say to me, don't say that. When you're on, don't say this. In your talk, cut that out. And I say, I can't, because I'll just go there, open up, open me gob, and I'll be more amazed at what comes out of my mouth than anybody else. Over to you, quick.
So, sign a contract is you see the messages of the collective of your beingness, and it's the way to go. It's the track. So it's exactly. So the reason I'm breaking down these words is I'm trying to show people that the words you're actually speaking are how you're wanting to run. And what happens when you don't do you fragment. And you fragment and you fragment, and this is where people say they're lost. You'll see on those Hollywood movies, they're always looking at their reflection going, who am I? Because they're fragmented so much, it's hard to bring the collective or the contract of them back into alignment, the one ones. People go, well, how'd you learn all that? And I go, what do you mean? How'd you learn all those things you just said? And I said, oh, I got this friend in the UK who's a doctor and he does light language. I learn it through what he says to me. And they go, yeah, but you don't understand the words. And I said, I don't have to. Those words and the noises and the feeling are the sign that come through. And I go, oh, that's what that's what it means. And they'll look at me and go, how did you get that from that? And I said, because I'm feeling it. And I can't explain it any other way. You just have to feel it. So how do you feel things? You go into your heart, you do the breathing, you have a cry, you have someone pass over. All these things that bring up emotion. So how do you get out of having these disasters and things happen to you is you um, come into feeling more, so that when these things do arise, you sort of handle it better.
Mm.
Yeah, it's it's different, Dr. Joe. Like death, how death first was to me, 30 years ago to now is very different. One, because I feel like they don't shut up when they're crossed over. I just feel like they're louder. Like it's,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's like, oh my God. It's like I've turned up the volume. Um, but that's okay. Like, look, look, there's no right or wrong, and there's many people doing it at all different levels, and people go, oh, why don't they know this and why don't they know that? And I said, they don't know that and they don't know this because they're actually doing their thing, their way to help us our way. Like, you can't have everyone the same. That would be really boring.
Yeah.
But look, the things that they put in us with lockdowns have seriously dampened us as a society. And I feel that animals are the ones that will attempting to awaken us a lot. That's why, we bring up animals a lot, don't we?
We do. I mean, our two girls, Pumpkin and Griselda. I mean, they're like my daughters, you know what I mean? And I look into their eyes. Griselda's now started to climb right up here now. She's becoming more and more sensitive all the time, almost like neurotic now. So she's hanging on. Any slight noise now, she jumps in and jumps on my chest, you know what I mean? And looks in my eyes, and I can always pick up, Dad, Dad, what's that? What's that? Look, and I get all this I have to say to her, don't calm down, darling, Daddy's here, and all that. So, but I'm very, very what's the word I was looking for? I'm becoming more and more cut through with things now, and I can't be. I used to think that, on this pathway, we had to sit there and listen to all the shit that people were coming out with and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And to keep our hearts open and send them love, because that would transform them. I don't feel like that anymore, though. I normally say to people, is this a long story? Because times become so important to me. And what I'm seeing is it's all about energy. It's how you manage your energy in time, how you prioritize things, and how you realize what's absolutely essential to you in the soul contract and the journey that you've set yourself. That's become more important to myself. And I don't try and be rude. Some people think I'm rude, but I'm just like cutting through to say, look, I'm awfully sorry, but I've got to go. Because I would meet somebody, I think I've mentioned this before, I'd see them come in through the shopping centre and I'd think, oh my God, it's so and so, you know what I mean? And I'd try and slink away and they go, Joe, and I'd think, oh, fucking hell, they've caught me, you know what I mean? And then they'd be telling me this story for ages and ages and ages, and I didn't have the bottle to say, look, I've got to go now. But when I see a person like that now, I feel energy because sometimes I have to stay and listen because I go with my heart. But most of the time, it's nice to see you, must rush, gotta go, busy, 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 and that's how I get away from people now. So there's almost like a part of me that was almost like I had some sort of an idea of the standard of what it was like to be a spiritual, um, God-fearing, helpful type of person. I'm, I'm not like that at all now, right? Because most of my time, my head's going, oh, for fuck, and all sorts of effing words in my head all the time.
We were, we were at a party with the family, and there was one character there, um, not part of the family, but a friend of a friend of a friend. And all the family members said, "Oh, Mum, you got to talk to this one because he's like out there like you, but he goes on a bit like that." And I went, "Okay." So they sort of like pushed me, like shoved me. And I was like, what are you doing?" Okay, so here we go. And then he starts spieling to the whole, but it's like every piece of um, alien angel energy that he's had in his whole life is trying to tell me all at once. And I had to say, stop. And then I said, stop again. I said, stop. Like that, really like definite. And I said, now, you don't have to tell me any of that. to sit here with me. He started to cry.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
fully started to cry. He starts like hysterically crying. And I look back at our family and they're like clapping. They, they go, "Good one, Mum. Look what you've done." Like, so you make people cry. And I said, I didn't make him cry. I just wanted him to be with me without his whole story. I already knew his story. I could feel it. I didn't need to hear it. And so now I've got this reputation. Don't let Mum talk to people. She'll make you cry. It
I have the
wasn't
same effect.
anything mean. It wasn't anything mean. I
I
just
know,
said,
no, I'm the
stop.
same. I'll say to somebody, "How are you?" And they always say, "I'm all right, thanks," and doing well. And I'll say, "How are you, really?" And then suddenly it's like, "Oh well, I've been having such a fucking terrible time." And I say, carry on, come on, let it all out, let it all out." And I think that's part of our job is to say,
Mm,
forget what your head's telling you, forget all that play and all that sort of stuff. How you're feeling in yourself, deep down. And most
mm,
people then just open up. And I
yeah,
think that's part of my job. And that's all right because part of me then thinks, well done, son, well done. And you
yeah,
sometimes just have to sit there and just allow them, I feel like I'm a snake charmer sometimes, getting all that stuff out, and I'm saying, don't worry, we're just getting all this shit out. It's like a great big cleansing thing. And that's what a purge is, isn't it? Purgatory is a time of cleansing. And I think that's what's happening now is it's almost like we've got a hydraulic hose shoved up our bottom, right? And it's actually on full blast now, and it's going through all the meridians, all the chakras, all the nadis, and it's pushing up to the surface stuff that we've been suppressing, repressing, or we've been oppressed, and we haven't voiced it because the throat is such a powerful thing to keep things in. And what I'm trying to encourage people is get it off your chest, and then you'll start to see the truth of who you are, not this thing that you've been pretending to be. Because Elsa, I was ducking and diving. You changed your face, and I would change my story to try and match what you were thinking. And I was always trying to mind read somebody else. And in the end, all I wanted to do was make you like me because I said nice things or made you laugh and stuff like that. I'm not that person anymore. I can see that part of my job is because, like you, we've gone through all sorts of different experiences, right? We've got this felt, lived, feeling wisdom about us, not this knowledge that we've been listening to on YouTube or reading about. I can't stand when people use the same phrases and then you go to a different channel and someone else is saying the same, state of the art spiritual expression that's coming through. I can't be doing with all that. And don't get me wrong, I've done all that, but I've sort of let it go now because I can see the sort of nonsense in it.
well, just a different way, maybe that is a distraction, but they got to find them.
Yeah,
They got to find them, and that's why when you ask someone how they really are, they really then they have to feel themselves, right? And they haven't probably been doing it for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or they haven't had time to meditate or whatever. And then they go, you know, because they've been fragmented for 2 weeks. And so by them having a shutdown, a meltdown, it's like rebooting the computer. The fragments are starting to come back, and then they get insights or yeah. What? So when we meet those ones that do this sort of thing, I look for the clues for me now. So they can't cross your path for no reason. So I'm
no,
looking for a clue for me, because you can't separate the giver from the gift. So I'm helping them. How are they helping me? So that's how I, that's how we do it. So like where these places that we went to in Sydney couldn't have been more like we were only in Sydney for a very short time. It was good, but kind of stressful. And the places that we had to go was where I met Richard, where I live with Richard, and all the locations of the Matrix film. And I was like, how the hell did this happen through horse?
yeah, yeah,
And I was like, okay, All right, I'm going to go with this. And, I had the family going, you're completely crazy what you're doing at the moment. And it doesn't make any sense. And you're being very irresponsible. And I was like, you know what? I'm showing you this so that you do it. You can't follow rhyme or reason. You have to follow you. And I'm showing you this because I'm really in a time of stress, showing you that I can still do me. So maybe I'm just meant to show you this. Maybe it's not about any of why we're in Sydney. Maybe it's just about us going to these spots and healing the land on those spots. Maybe that's all this is. Because how else would Elsa go to Sydney? Because Elsa doesn't want to go to Sydney.
I know
But I
ex
was there,
I know exactly
you
what
know?
you mean. It's almost like we've got to retrace our steps, as you say, to
Yeah.
realign ourselves or a part of ourselves with
Mm.
what wasn't fully aligned in the past as well. And I've been having loads of that recently. I've been to a few places and I thought, because I'm like you, is what am I going there for? Give us a clue. And I get just go along. And sometimes because I have this feeling it's just below me heart and just above me solar plexus. There's like that place there. That's how I navigate my life now. And it's almost like there's a sonar goes out and it hits something and it comes back to me. And I'm always saying is, what are you trying to show me? What do I have to do here? And I almost get navigated, through this like sonar energy thing that goes out. And that's how I can tell we can work with people then as well. I get an energy that goes out, and if it comes back and I feel open and flowing, then I can work with that person. But sometimes I'll get a and that means no, not today, but don't completely discard it because next week you might be working with them. And that's why, in a way, we can't really go with our likes and dislikes because that's more of an ego personality thing. It's more about the energy. And there's some people I prefer not to be working with, but if my heart's open, it means no, no, you've got to be doing that now. And Elsa, I'm only scratching the surface and trying to learn to be more refined in me sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word, but discernment. I'm talking about discernment really, and I think my sonar is becoming a bit more refined each time. You know. So yeah, I am becoming a completely different person, but I think I'm becoming the person that I was born to be, right? And I'm much more cut through now and straightforward because I used to be one of those people that would explain myself in a great big long story and this, that, and the other. And I can't be asked anymore, to be quite honest with you.
Born to be is head and wolf. So ant and wolf, which is set. Oh, so it's the it's the intelligence, and it's to do with horse. So it's walking in on your all fours, even though we've been stood up. So very hard for humans because we're not as grounded as animals because we're not down. And you'll see some of the dinosaurs are up as well. Some of the birds are up. Yeah. So um, yeah, it's it's so weird. It is weird. It's weird. I say it's weird. It is weird. I don't really care. But the people I meet in public, I'm as honest as I can be with them, and they're curious, which is nice rather than run away. They're
Yeah.
curious. Yeah, they're curious because they know this way's not working anymore, and they can see that it's working for me. And it's not like an aha, look, I've got it better over here. It's just that in times of stress, look how it pans out for me. And it's not to rub it in anyone, or it's a way to say, you too can have this abundance, but you've just got to feel it. You just got to be with it.
But that's my thing, isn't it? The F off approach. I make a joke about it, but it's like I'm writing a book at the moment. It's called the F off to health and happiness. And they go, "Oh, you can't say that." Yes, I can, because it doesn't mean what you think it does. It stands for focus on feelings first, right? And be a wolf just come in, be a wolf, right? So that's in there. But what I get is there's a lot of talk about Anunnaki at the moment, and somebody's asked who's the gentleman behind me. Well, that's a sort of a representation of the Anunnaki, who were supposed to be the sort of infiltrators and who reconditioned our genome, right, in order to put us into some sort of slave mentality and stuff. I don't get into all that anymore. I'm not interested. All I'm interested in is, and I do feel that I'm part of some sort of Anunnaki redemption clause, because sometimes when stuff comes up, there's like a and it's like a bloody great big power surges through my body. Now, I think that that power can be used for destructive or constructive purposes. And I think that's where I feel now, because I know that when that kicks off, and when it used to kick off in drink, it would destroy the whole place. And I know now that as part of the turnaround, if you like, that that power or energy that can come through me has got to be used for positive, helpful, compassionate and constructive purposes, almost like to help make the world a better place in a completely different light. And I feel that. And when the other one comes through, when you were talking before, what I get then is I get visions like you. I get the pterodactyl, so it all becomes prehistoric. But then I get the Tyrannosaurus Rex that always comes in. And it's got, yeah, oh, yeah, one of those, yeah. But this one's like a get too close and I'll bite your throat out. And I think, oh no, here they are again. But then I've got like, HR Puff and stuff's coming behind them now. Like this pink dragon comes in behind it. So these are the things that are all coming into my head all the time. So just to go back to the Anunnaki thing, I think that was supposedly what was called the fall from grace, where we took a left turn really instead of going straight forward. And I think what's happening now is the energies that's coming through and closer to the planet through the intervention of the sun and all the plasma, right? I think it's rewriting. Oh no, it's not really rewriting our script. It's just uncovering what's there at depth. And I think all we need to do is surrender, let go, and let this flushing actually kick out all the shit that's been blocking us from being our true essential selves. And I don't think that that's our source self. I think it's our soul self, because source is all one, but the soul is a differentiation of the source itself. It's an individual consciousness with a job to be done, and I think that that's what it is. We're all unique in the skills that we bring to this game if we want to use them for good purpose. Because if you're using them now for egomaniacal purposes, right, it'll just bite you on the back, right, as soon as it goes out now. It's almost like the mirror of reflection has come that close now that if you send it out, it smacks you across the head straight away now. Like a little indication of wrong way, son. I've got no idea what I'm talking about, but oh, let me
Yeah,
just mention again. Trident keeps coming in. Trident, Antarctica. Okay, well that's the old stuff. That Antarctica stuff. Let's go. No, keep an eye on Antarctica. Okay, and I get Neptune, right, and Poseidon as well. So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
so the book you're writing is F off. So F off is double happiness, and you become whole with it or satisfied, and then you create a new frequency. So F off. So F off is the feng shui symbol. It's also Tesla energy. So yeah, it's an antenna. And then you become complete, so then you can create from there. So if you're not doing the F off approach, like you said, it's going to smack you in the face. And it's not asking us to be selfish, it's asking us to be us.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. It's asking us to be the true version of you. To be the true version of you is you, or sheep, which is the language of Ta. So it's saying collect all the crustaceans of yourself and be the best version of you that day. Because the next day, you might be a newer version of you.
Yeah,
And you will never be that version again. So it's almost sad if you don't be you that day because you've missed it.
yeah,
Do you see what I'm saying? It's actually quite like it's impossible to be you from yesterday because new tar lands on you. And as each day goes, even if there's no tar landing that day, you're integrating it and developing it. So if okay, so tar comes down on you and you get the first version of it, and then the next day it's like um, going to school on the first day and then going to school on the second day. Everyone's exciting and new, but the second day you kind of know who people are and their names, and so you've missed that day. You'll never get that day back of you again. And this is what happens when we fragment ourselves. This is what people say their life went by so quickly. Why have the kids grown up so quickly? Because it's fragmented. Whereas if you can come back to you and enjoy the you moments for that day, and then you carry it forward to the next day, and treat each day as just a day rather than how we've been trained to project for the whole week.
yeah.
Like, Dr. Joe, before coming on here, I was just thinking, so what has happened this week? And I went, oh my God, it feels like a year
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
Monday. What has gone on? I didn't even realize it's actually still not. It's only just Saturday. And then I went, oh my gosh, what have I actually done this week? I don't even know. How did I get the energy to do all those things this week? So I'm just saying because I went with the flow. Whereas if I tried to fight it, I would have had probably accidents and I would have got really ill.
That's
I
what
mean, I
I do.
can't.
I've got no concept of time at all. And I think people are saying to me, I just can't remember this, that, and the other. And I say, that's a positive thing. At least you're living in the moment. This is a positive thing. But don't listen to medicine because they say you've got dementia coming on. Take one of these tablets, and all that sort of stuff. And I think, oh, what a load of nonsense. And I have to look at my diary to see what day it is. Right. You know, and like I look back. If I look back on the week, I think, how the hell have I done all this stuff? And I'm doing loads and loads and loads of stuff. I've got my finger in that many pies. I think, how is this happening? And it's happening because I'm just following the impulse that's coming to me. Do this now, do this now. And I don't waste energy foolishly by trying to work out where it's all going. That's not my job. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they say, hand over your will and your life over to the care of God or spirit or whatever. So you hand it over, you let go of the management of your life over to spirit. And so they'll send you the job sheet. Do this today.
Hang on. So Alcohol Anonymous says give yourself over to spirit.
Yeah, that's what it's
Yes.
about because it's got nothing to do with alcohol. That's the whole point. Alcohol is the
Wow.
symptom that numbs you, that gives you the false sense of security that you're actually, so you drink alcohol because what actually has, it temporarily disinhibits you and all the stuff that's been pushed down for years, you couldn't give a shit about. So you go around, but what's actually happening is it's like opening Pandora's box, and the energy that comes up is so powerful that something in you says that, well, if that amount of drink, right, caused that effect, if I take more drink now, I'll get a bigger hit. That's the
Ah.
thing, you see. But you don't get a bigger hit because it's got you, right? And that's what happens. It's got nothing to do with alcohol, right? It's the addictive behavior that gives you that feeling of freedom and numbing and anesthetic. Because when you've had a few to drink, you couldn't give a shit what anybody thinks of you. It's like, ah, fuck, and all this stuff comes out, but you feel free. The worst thing is when you wake up the next day and you start to recall what you've been doing. It's like, oh my God. And you feel that bad, you think, I better have a couple more drinks just to settle me down. It's got you. So Alcoholics Anonymous is to plug you back into your heart.
I'm sorry because So we're in the heart of Sydney having pizzeria with these new friends who we've met through horse, and there was a lady who was on something like, and she was swearing at us, sort of thing, at a table. And yeah, it's quite normal in this area where the Matrix was photographed. It used to be full of them, but now there was only one. And she happened to be drawn into us. Now, out of the whole town, there used to be thousands of them in this town where I used to live. It used to be, you know how like where you go to towns and the cool place to live is with all the, all the, it was always a bit rough, but that was the really chic place. Well,
Yeah.
that's what this was. Whereas now it's all been commercialized. So now there's only one or two of them. Anyway, this so-called druggie or whatever you want to call her, she was attacking our table. Like not hurt physically, but we were keeping an eye on her because she could have lost it. And now hearing you speak about her, the reason she was at our table was because how could she not? Her spirit was drawn to our table because she was across the road. And she came over just to our table. She wasn't annoying anyone else. They rang the police on her, and the police were like, well, is anyone dead? Just like, is anyone, well, we can't come out unless anyone's dead. I was like, really? Okay, that's funny. But so she was just, now I understand why because I was wondering why she was at us and she was round the girls, Jeannie and Gidget. So, I felt like a big dragon putting
Yeah.
my, and I was like, what was interesting, the people we were with are pretty high up in government as well, so that was kind of interesting as well. Um, yeah, so I just go, what is going on? It wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. It was about horse. It was about where we were. It was about healing the land. And she's at, now I'm speaking to you, Dr. Joe, and thank you for this because I understand why she was there. And it was like how a lot of the uh, um, ADD children and stuff come up to us a lot, or Alzheimer's people come to us a lot because their soul can see that we see them,
Yeah.
and they're trapped. They're trapped in there.
And that's
They're
why
tr- yeah,
that part of my job, I'm what's called a sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that means that I guide people through, not giving them advice other than here's a set of tools. If you practice these tools one number at a time, so there's 12 steps that you go through, and you are guaranteed, if you take the 12 steps and you don't miss anything out, you are guaranteed to be freed from the addiction. Now that's the thing is, so you get released from it. And then there's some steps then. It's called the maintenance steps. That keeps the channel to your higher power or to your spirit open. And that's why the most important thing in my life, Elsa, is my sobriety. And sobriety to me means emotionally calm and clear-minded. And I am most of the time, right? But I'm learning all the time because, and how do I know whether emotionally calm? By the way that I feel, you know. And if I feel open and flowing, I don't analyze. I wonder why I feel open and flowing. I just keep going. So if I'm open and flowing, I just keep going until I feel emotionally disturbed. So something in me is taking the trigger for some reason. And then rather than emotionally reacting on it, because that's getting into the fight when the fight and flight kicks in, I know now that if you don't want to fight, don't get into the boxing ring. So I've developed now a way to step back in me head now, to open me head up and to bring me heart in and say to me heart, why have I just got emotionally triggered here? And it could be as simple as, right, you've just said yes there, Joe, when really you don't want to do it. So go back and say, look, I've made a mistake. I said yes, but unfortunately I've thought about it again and I'm going to say no. Now, what that person then, if they got upset, it doesn't matter. As long as you've told the truth and keep the channel open, then you're on the right path. And that's all I go with now. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm a saint. I just do these things because it keeps me channel open. I keep flowing and I feel joyful most of the time, but don't take any shit anymore. Because I used to swallow all sorts of shit off other people, right? And I realize now I don't have to do that. Because if I start to feel uncomfortable in a certain situation, I'll say, look, it's nice to see you, but I've got to go now. And I'll go. I don't have to make any excuses, tell long story. The reason I've got to go is because if I don't go now, this will happen. I think, waste the fucking breath, excuse my French, waste the breath, right? I'll just say, look, I've got to go. Bye bye. Nice to see you. Off I go.
Okay. Okay.
I could see
So
you were waiting to get in there. I could see that.
gotta go means I gotta go and do a, so, so when someone says gotta go, that means they have to get rid of their. And so maintenance is maintenance. So it's the ones, right? Of Anu. So man is wolf. So it's wolf and bee understanding the maintenance of themselves. So it's like this, right? Going up and down the spine, which is, I know you talk about a lot, right? The river that had the two deltas was called Manin. the Okay, so then I go crazy because the spotted dog is the Egyptian dog, original Egyptian dog, spotted dog, which we have Dalmatians.
Yeah.
We have Ditto, who I really don't want her to have any more puppies. And I've said to the family, can we keep this little one? She's adorable. Can we keep this little female to the family, which means we'll have four dogs? And her name is Delta. So Ditto and Delta, which is two. I don't know. I feel like this is a completion. I feel like I had to hear your words to complete my week.
I think that
Because
what
I was.
happens. It's just
It's
like
weird.
it seems coincidental, but it isn't because it's an energetic thing that's going on, isn't
Yeah.
it? So there'll be all sorts of things, won't there, in the invisible realms doing all that and disentangling us and putting the wires back together so that the
Yeah.
communication flows better and stuff like that.
Oh,
I've
it
had
makes me
loads.
smile. It makes
Well,
me feel like because you're on the other side of the world. How do you know this stuff? You don't know, and I don't know. But it's a simulation. Is that what it is, or a
yeah.
synchronicity, or what? And this is what they talk about: is when you're having that, that's it.
And no,
That's
and
like,
this is what it is. We're having an open-hearted conversation. There's no plan. We're going to talk about this, that, and the other. No, we didn't do any of that. It just comes out in the process, doesn't it? It's a bit like we go on about Anu and anarchy. Now Anu in some belief systems like was an evil thing, right? And this, that, and the other. But I don't see it like that, right? I see it like you do. Anu, right? It's always refreshing itself if
mm,
you keep open and flow into it.
like
So
the like the delta, like
yeah,
that.
like a delta.
Yeah, because that's what it does. A delta cleans out the shit of the river, basically. And a lot of in Australia, I don't know if it's the same in there, but that's where the canals from the sewage lines will go into the rivers and then it flushes out through the deltas. So, and Richard's like, don't let me eat any fish from there.
No.
I don't want to eat those fish.
Well, we've got a big problem in the UK now with toxicity, and they're using the rivers just dumping grounds for all this sort of
Mm,
stuff. More and more people now are waking up to, hang on a second, why have we let this go on so long? I put a thing on yesterday, a post. I called it "Poisoned on Purpose." That we're being poisoned on purpose, right? And yesterday was a time when all those chemtrails were crisscrossing, and I put it because I always put a bit of a joke in. And I said, if you think that these clouds are natural, right? I said, well, the global dimming is obviously working, thickos. I didn't put thickos in, but I said, maybe you need to get your eyes tested, basically. Right. But then a whole load of comments started to come up. It's happening the same in Wales now. We've never seen it so bad. We were actually, the last week, we've been bombarded by these things. Right. And what happens with me is, it's like when I go to the supermarket, I've said this before, I can tell 3 aisles away where I'm going towards the chemical stuff because my nose starts to flow, my throat closes, and my eyes start to get irritated. And that's 3 aisles away. And I can't go down the aisles because it makes me feel ill. Right. And That's what happens when these chemtrails are in the sky. They're not contrails, they're chemical trails, and they're full of chemicals. How do I know? Because my nose starts getting snotty, my throat closes over in order to protect me. I start to get a headache, and my eyes start to get irritated. Now, other people don't get that, but more and more people are starting to get that now. And that's because as this cleansing energy is coming in, our senses are being heightened, right? And I feel like I can see for miles sometimes now. And but what's got me more than anything else is my tactile sensitivities are really increasing. And I used to have this, Elsa, as a child. When I was a child, I was very clumsy, right? And that's because I'd touch something and I'd feel it and I'd drop it. You see what I mean? So I was oversensitive in the touch department, right? And it's happening to me again now. I keep picking up a cup and stuff like that. I'm nearly sort of missing it all the time. And I can remember exactly being a child and being that clumsy kid. But really, it was just because my senses were heightened and I hadn't become tolerant of it or understanding. So loads and loads of people, their senses are expanding on purpose until they realize that their radars are extending for their benefit if they can understand and interpret the signals that are coming to them.
What age were you when you remember the cups and things like this? If you had
Well,
the
my
same
mother used to
age.
tell me off all the time because you clumsy child, that sort of telling off. Helpful, but not helpful. I would have been about starting maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 years of age, something like
Y-
that.
Yeah, so this is a scientific thing. This is what Steiner School goes through, and you're a spiritual being up until 8. This is why a lot of the not so good things in the world attack those ones
Yeah,
because of that.
yeah,
And so it's like you're a clean slate. So you're actually going back to that with all the Dr. Jonas.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
not only are
exactly.
you being you, you're going back over it all and going to that point there. That's so I would class that as almost quantum time travel or something, because you're going back to there and you're powering up all the information you've collected, all the studying, all the people you've met, your experiences, and you're going back to this point and going, okay, let's charge up from here. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
No, no, I agree, and I exactly agree with that because that's what I've told. You're going back, Joe, to understand. And what happens, Elsa, is when I get the connection of understanding, I feel like crying my eyes out. I feel like that little kid again.
Yeah.
So I've also been taken back. When I was 11, I went away to start to be my priest training, and I've also been taken back to some of the situations that were happening there because I couldn't get to sleep at night because there was all sorts of things coming in through the window all the time. Now I know now whether that was to do with ETs, whether it was I don't know, but I had the priests who were looking after us in the dormitory. I had them up all night long because I was frightened to go to sleep all the time. So I've almost like been shown in the last few months, we're taking you back now, Joe, so that you can understand what was happening. So you can sort of put that to rest now and understand what's again happening now. So that's why you're
I
feeling sensitive.
I don't think it's put to rest. I actually think they're wanting you to reset it, like use it
Well,
now.
well, that's what I mean. I think, yeah,
Yeah, like
that's what I mean. Yeah,
reset. Yeah, well,
yeah,
set and rest is the same. Yeah, but I've realized I feel like they're taking you back there to power. I, f- I feel like it's got a lot to do with your mum.
no, don't even go there because I've had my
No, she's
mum.
like, I
Yeah,
feel like that this whole electric thing that you're having, she couldn't explain it to you in her human form, so now she's assisting you now with the electrics. And this is how ghost comes through a lot is through electrics and pulses, like electric shocks. Yeah, so as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, there she, because I saw the picture of her that you've put up on your post. And okay, so the 19th is Lateral Day, which is the true Mother's Day.
right. I get my mum. My mum's with me all the time on this shoulder, right? And I get now a different version of my mum, like a wise woman. But my mum
Yeah.
had her own problems. And Elsa, I've said this before. I do a talk called the Mummy's Curse, right? Yeah, the Mummy's Curse. So that brings us, me and you, back together again for the Egyptian link. But I get the Mummy's Curse, and I've done this in academia as well. And I've actually linked it to childhood experiences as well. you know. And what happened is I would never know. My mum was diagnosed with manic depression, which is called bipolar disease now. So you would never know which mother I was getting, right? So on some occasions she could be the most loving, and she'd snuggle me into her, and because I was a bit of an infirm child, you know, and hip problems and spine problems, all that blah de blah, she'd hug me, and then the next day she'd be screaming at me, "You clumsy boy," and all this sort of stuff, you know. So I never knew which one. So consequently, I'm always walking on eggshells, you know, and all that sort of stuff. I understand now that I almost like signed up for that to understand the bipolarity of what it is to be a human being. So that's helped me a lot now. But I also got told that a lot of this stuff actually was cemented in the womb. So there's a lot of stuff I do with what's going on in the womb, you know, before I developed a mind of my own, if you like. So I'm bringing all this ancestral stuff that's then imprinted in the womb, and I pop out then into a terrifying world, you know. So I've been shown loads and loads of stuff recently, but what's happening to me now is as the connections reconnect themselves and become more aligned, I'm becoming more able to see out and to see where people are in their journeys as well. So I can almost like psychically clock onto the actions that people need in order to realign themselves as well now.
So, okay, so this is a good example, and you can shut me off if you want. So, you as a heightened child and your mum as a heightened person, can you see how hard it is in the human existence? Because you're all this, and you're all this, and society goes, you're not allowed to be you're not allowed to be any of that. You got to be this. So you're like in not a prison, but you're trapped in these cells, and you can't be the full expressions of yourself. And so, how tricky it would have been for the mum and the son. Like, it's, I'm hoping I'm sharing these words because people will see why their kids acting this way or their mum's acting this way because they're heightened and they're heightened. It's hard in this world where they're saying you should be this and you should be that. Whereas, well, in our family, because we separated from society in many ways, we went, okay, you be that, you be that, you be that, and it worked. It still had, some lots of tears and things, but it has worked.
No,
And
see, I
now,
agree. And that's what I talk about all the time. Your children are not your children. They come through you. They come through you, not from you. You know, so
yeah,
you talk about portals, the birth canal and stuff like that. They're already here with a purpose. And I see
yeah,
that it's our job, and this is part of my job in my academic career, is to say, hang on a second, they've already got the journey. It's already laid out for them. All you need to do as parents is water them, feed them, and keep a cautious eye on them. But
yeah,
yes, but they might hurt themselves if they go up that tree. Let them go up the tree. How are they ever going to find out? But just get a sense if you're working from your heart, right, and you're being parented from your own heart, no trouble will come to them unless it's written in their plan, right? So this is the thing, and
yeah.
I'm big now. I'm writing some stuff for some conferences in June, and if they get accepted, we'll be talking exactly about this because my area, as you know, is that each child has a nervous system that's unique to themselves. And if they
Yeah.
come out into a threatening environment, then their nervous system will be constructed on fear and fight and flight and defensiveness. And almost as if you've got to go along and realize one day, I'm a frightened child in a man's body here. Right. Please God, or please Spirit, or please somebody, please show me what to do. So you go into Alcoholics Anonymous, you meet a sponsor who's been through the 12 steps, and he said, I can't tell you what to do other than if you follow these instructions, you'll stop drinking like me and your life will improve. And then that happens to me. So somebody new comes in and I say the same thing. I don't say to him, oh, you want to get shut of that wife there. She's causing all the problems. Alcoholics Anonymous doesn't work like that. It said, hang on, right. Forget what everybody else has done to you. Let's look at your emotional reactions to life and see why they're like that.
Wow. So
Oh, it's
I
hard stuff.
I just think it's interesting how they're saying, okay, turn off the 3Dness of spirit and allow this side of the gas of spirit. So now we're going into chemistry. So they're saying turn off the liquid and go to the. Well, one of the biggest ones is wormwood. So we have it everywhere in the paddocks here. It's taken me years to work out which one's wormwood, by the way. But I'll take it when I'm walking. And people are like, what are you eating that for? And I'm like, it's wormwood. They're going, how do you know? And I go, because I do. This is wormwood. Wormwood is abstinence, which is the alcohol. The blue genie or the green genie. Yeah, it used to be. They don't make it so much now. And always when they don't usually make something so much now, it's because they're trying to hide it. But lockdowns was all about taking this horse worming thing called eye.
Yeah.
And we would never give it to the horses because it deteriorates the spleen and kidney and gallbladder. But it's a synthetic version of wormwood. That's all it is. So if you could just take the wormwood, it's connected to it's a spirit plant. It just people say you hallucinate when you eat it, and I say you're not hallucinating. You're actually getting in touch with the higher self. It's not hallucinating. You're getting finally in touch with yourself. But they're saying, "Oh, don't take that. You'll hallucinate." I'm like, "Thank you. I want to hallucinate." And people say, "Oh, well, it's like ashwanda or that." It's not. I see the horses eat it, so
Yeah. See,
they're
it's
taking it.
funny. My wife's very into, and so am I, because I understand how it works. Homeopathy, you know, and all the spirits. I mean, that goes in with the 12 dimensions of what it is to be a human. And one sugar pill diluted millions of times, it loses all the biochemical constituent bit, but it remains with the spiritual essence. And that's what does
Hmm.
the job. So the spiritual essence, it might be working on the ninth dimension because she intuits with a pendulum and stuff like that what is needed. So that's how Catherine works all the time, and she's that sensitive. She doesn't do people at all. She can't because she picks up their energies all over the place. You see, so that's the thing is she's quite a lonely person. You know what I mean? And
It is. It is lonely. I agree with Catherine. It is very lonely, but yeah, it
yeah,
is, and I just is. I mean, we can have this full family, and I'm still feeling alone because no one's really getting what I'm saying, sort of thing. So, and I'm being told to shut up a lot. So,
yeah. But I
but
get that. I mean, Catherine says to
it's
me,
just
don't say. She says to me, don't say that. Do this, because she's also a control freak, by the way. But that's another story, right? But what I'm trying to say is absinthe or wormwood. There's a novel called The Wormwood Tapes actually, and it's all about this. And so there's loads of information on all these different things. But my thing is now is I get told, Joe, if you sink into your heart and you allow essence to permeate all your cells and the stem cells, it's a vibrational thing. You don't actually have to take anything outside of yourself because the healing is actually radiating from you. So everybody's talking about the biofield now. Right. And the only way to overcome what's going on the planet now will be vibrational based upon the essence and the radiation that's pouring from the essence, because that will neutralize any other stuff that's being pushed onto us from externally. Now, people who are listening to this, they'll understand what I'm talking about. But it's almost like we're in what they call frequency wars now. But you don't have to be in the war. You just to accept it. Open your heart up and you can say a little prayer. Will you please send out a shield to protect me, please? And Elsa, that's how it seems to work.
yeah. Well, that was my whole week. I had everyone telling me how irresponsible, how dangerous, and everything was don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And I kept having to check in on myself
Yeah.
because if I agreed with them, I would have fragmented, and that sucks. I know. Because then I got to put myself back together, and I'm not very good at that. So I'm just like, you know what? I've done that road. I'm going to go this way. So it's much quicker this way as well. Like following me is much quicker than following you.
I agree.
And I don't mean you, but I mean, you know what I mean. So,
Yeah.
and I can love that person so much. but I still have to be you. If I was you, you wouldn't really love me anymore. Honestly, you wouldn't. You want me to be me. You don't want me to be you. You know how they say the husband and wife change each other, or the kids and they change. The mums change the kids and things like this. I really want them to be them, and me to be me. And when I'm meeting people, I really want them to be them. That's why you and I won't resonate when they're spilling the story, because it's a story.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
all right, be quiet for 2 seconds. Now let's hear the story. They go, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," because they're being them. You've given them a pause, which is like poison.
yeah,
You've paused sun on purpose. So very cool, Dr. Joe.
yeah,
You know that I love our talks. I
yeah.
get so much out of them. I'm sorry if it sounds like big riddles all the time, but I get so much out of our conversations. And it's like it trains me for the next few months ahead. So,
But I mean, it's not a riddle to me because I mean we're on this sort of same wavelength thing, and I see that everybody's talking about DNA changing and all that, but it's the epigenome that's blocking us because that represents actions from the past that didn't take taken properly. They might have been put there to defend us in that moment, but now we're being shown as you don't need. You're not the shield. If the shield's coming through to protect you, you don't have to protect yourself anymore. See, I'm telling people now, big grown, strong men, and I'm saying to them, the only time you ever need to be emotionally reactive is if your physical life is in danger. Other than that, you can step back, rethink the situation, and then go back in them with a clearer mind, right? But this is because I've had to learn this. I was so emotionally reactive. Somebody would say something, they'd only just start a conversation, and I would seize on one word and I'd be reacting back to it. Right. And this is what I find. So to sit there and to allow somebody to tell their whole story, and I'm still learning this because sometimes I can see so clearly, but to tell their whole story, right? That's probably a gift. It's called learning to listen and listening to learn, right? And I find that very difficult. But
so
go on.
no, I'll wait for you.
But no,
What?
I'm finding, and that's because I only ever feel like I'm scratching the surface. I'm learning more and more and more and more every single day. Otherwise, if it was a perfect being, right, I'd be bored shitless because I do get bored very, very quickly, very quickly.
Well, a DNA origin meaning of it is Arabic tongue. This is what DNA means. And DNA, it's at first goes to a chemical, chemical equation, DNA, what it means, and then it goes to a few other things, and then gets back to Arabic tongue, which is Egyptian tongue. So tongue is here, which is the tail, other end of the dragon. So you have your tail and then the tongue. And they say one of the really good ways to be still is to place your tongue, to straighten your spine, place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, which makes you stop talking, which is what I told that person at the party. Anyway, but what you're doing is you're aligning the two tails. So the two tails is, like you said in the F off, it's the circle to be satisfied, right? So now you got the two tails of the dragon. So Arabic is gypsies. So Egyptian isn't Egyptian. Egyptian is the tar gypsies or the sky gypsies. And they have this in one movie called The Golden Compass.
Oh, I
So,
know it will.
yeah, so Egyptian is actually an explanation of the essence of the gypsies. So the ones that roam, and that's us. We roam. So we come here and be this one, and then we come here and be another version, and we come here and be another. So we're sky gypsies. It's so cute, right? I'm just like, wow, really? And this is just in a conversation with Dr. Joe, what he's talking about through his day to day, and I'm talking about through my day to day. And I go, how does this connect to that, connect to that. It's connecting to science, it's connecting to history, it's connecting to our lives day to day. Like it's a different way to be.
Funny you should say that. I've got a thing here written down. Alakna chachma chuldele sapte chundre machal. Zabira chulum techne gesapte teshmaha. Liaro tochma elesindi aramoto chulum zindira. Velasa barot uchum ad nihurt. Die kaset jormoto hat a chunta na mes shibra achnu urdush. Mariur tompach as och mut ak nut. So that's not written down there because that just came out. But what's happening to me now, I'm starting to write in from right to left. And also, yeah. So it's right to left, which is basically an Arabic way of doing things.
Yeah.
And the right to left is the right hemisphere coming across what they call an analog digital conversion. That's the bridge that sends it into the left brain then. So one's curvy and one's linear. But the thing about it is now, the linear then has to go back through expression and become curvy because that's how spirit then find out the information that's going on the planet as well through us. So I'm getting a big whoosh up my spine now. So we have to sort of, on the in-breath, we bring the information in, and on the out-breath, it expresses it back to spirit. But it's not in a circle, it's in a spiral because we're all ascending together.
Yeah.
Right. And
This is your book. This is your book. FF. So
ah,
FFOF is the two deltas of the river joining to be one. So you have the ripples and the all the rubbish in the water on this side and this side. This is a big. This is a big deal because the Nile goes on about it, and they call it the tears of Isis, and she was the bride of Isis, and she'd cry for 40 days. This is like Lent. So, and then the river would clean, and it would change the brown water meets the blue water, and the blue water changes the brown water, not the other way around.
makes
The blue
perfect
water
sense.
eventually cleans it up. And that's what we're doing. And this is, you keep saying this F off book is so on track. It's so on track.
Well, it's in the making as we speak. So let me just feel now. I suppose we've gone 1 hour and 25 minutes. Can you feel anything else coming through?
Yeah, with your light language, you spoke of, you can hear the dialect of Hut. Hut is Hom. And so you're saying you've got to embody this now. And
Yeah.
the language is of the gob or the the ha. It's a breath, and it's saying you can wear it as a burden, or you can wear it and walk it in, like wear it and walk it in. So it can be burden, or it can be ease and grace. So you could be either side of the delta. The main goal is for you to merge. So you can stay separated if you want, but the main aim for us now is to merge. And that's why I say to people, the more each of us just follow this path and do our little rituals or whatever you want to do, little prayers that make no sense, they have this huge butterfly effect that shudders out like ripples, like emotions, right? And by doing that, you're lifting the vibration of others naturally. This is dragon. You drag the ions. And this is what they talked of. This is what you spoke of. In your first word, you're getting iron, Tigris, Euphrates, Nirvana. So you're asking us to see with love or lead the tar to heaven. Heaven is heaven's gate. So it's the merging. Yeah. It's actually pretty. It's like, it sounds like gibberish, but it really does work. It helped me through a really tough week.
I
I've made it
I agree. It's
made it
not
tough.
gibberish. It's
Make
not
tough
gibberish to
fruit.
me now. It sounds like gibberish, but people say when you did that, I could feel something going in. It's like when he comes through. Rocky,
Rocky.
right? Well, he's coming. So it starts off like this, and you mightn't be able to hear it, but you might feel the vibration of it.
Yeah.
Desante Golavia, Balak, Santa Qua, Motica Santa Cuta Jatawa.
I say, Sydney, did
Mm.
that come through at all?
No, it's only a couple of bits. It's you. It's a. Um, I feel like he had to come in at the end to be like a big boulder and dump it in on us. Like yeah, a lot of his information. When I hear him, I just know it's going to be big. You know that Atlas, how he carries that big, yeah, like that. It's just going to go. Nice try. You're trying to carry it. It's going to land. Let it go. Just let it land. Let it fall where it's meant to go. Don't try and carry it. Let it fall where it's supposed to go. Actually, that's what Atlas is. Um, yeah, this struggle of man trying to carry this boulder. Just let it fall. Like, when someone throws something heavy down to you, just let it fall. Like, you're not going to be able to catch it. You're going to break your fingers or it's going to sprain something or squish something. Just let it fall and then deal with it then. Like, that's what we're having to do. I feel like this is what his message is. He's quite, because he's so, because he's so ancient, he's quite chuff about it all. He's like, that's why he always laughs.
Well,
He's
at the
like,
end, he always goes,
yeah, he
as
always
if to,
laughs.
yeah. But that's getting stronger in me all the time now. And I'll have to
Mm.
find a way to record that so that people can actually hear because he talks and I've got no idea. And I just go with it, because I've got no idea what it means. But people do seem to feel some effect from it. And I don't try and work anything out anymore. I just do what I feel, and if people benefit from it, then that's fine. It's never meant to cause any harm or anything, but sometimes it makes. And the other thing about letting that world go is I keep letting the old 3D world go because that's gone now, right? And the idea now is not to fight or try and keep out hold of it because in this great big cycle of change that's happening, it's much more powerful than us. So we can, we're wasting our breath, wasting our energy trying to hang on to something that's disintegrating on purpose, you know.
Mm.
So that's what I feel is turn the other cheek, as Jesus is reputed to have said, which means look in another direction and create something beautiful from there based upon who you are, not what they've told you to be, or not what you've been pretending to be. So be yourself, find yourself, create something beautiful from yourself, and you'll have a nice life. As simple as that.
Okay, so here's something a little rude, but I know you'll get it. So isn't it funny that we have cheeks here and butt cheeks? And the thing that I'm getting is, how they always say, because in Australia they go, "Oh, mate, he's talking through his ass." Like, so are they talking through this end or this end? Which end are you talking through? The Bible, man Bible? Or are
Well,
you talking, or talking through the ass?
it's a planetary thing, isn't it? It's Uranus again. Yeah, it's the
Oh.
influence of Uranus, which is like when your head's too close to Uranus, or even up it. Right. I think on that note, it's
On
time.
that note.
It's time to say goodbye, nighty night, or good day to you.
Yeah,
And
happy birthday. Happy
oh,
birthday
thank you,
to.
thank you. And yeah, apparently the last day of winter, which makes sense to be born on that day. And today's the first day of spring, right?
Oh,
Which is new beginnings and stuff. So all that business. Elsa, thanks very much. We'll get in touch again further down the line and do another one and see what's coming up. But I'd just like to say to everybody, lightheartedness is the key. And when I say lightheartedness, it doesn't mean being silly or stupid. It means having a light heart and to be guided from there. And I think enlightenment is more about not carrying so much crap around, really. So, on that note, God bless. I love you like mad. Regards to everybody, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks everybody for listening. Bye bye. Bye bye.